with your hosts, JC Cornell and Samir Ali.
Welcome back to Fully Loaded. This is your host, JC Cornell, with Samir Ali as always. And we have special guest today, Assistant General Manager of the Buccaneers, Mike Greenberg. How you doing, Mike?
Good. How you guys doing?
Good, man. Welcome to
Great.
the show, Mike. This is awesome.
Happy to be here. Pumped. Thanks for having me.
Always.
All right, Mike. Elephant in the room. We don't have to go into any detail. Tristan Wirfs, holdout. We have no one's panicking. We know he's going to be back. My only question I wanted to ask you is, does it make it a lot easier when you have a guy like Penei Sewell recently resetting the market with those contract details, 4 years, $112 million, $50 million signing bonus, $85 million guaranteed? Does that help you in the negotiation process or make it quicker per se?
Definitely it provides another benchmark. There's a lot of benchmarks, and teams do deals differently. They structure deals differently. What's important to each player and club when they're negotiating is always a little bit different, but it definitely it provides another benchmark of a caliber player similar to Tristan. So it definitely helps in providing a benchmark, but I think each negotiation is a little bit different depending upon that situation.
Mike,
For sure.
what does it say about Tristan that obviously today's Tuesday? It is the first day of mandatory minicamp for you guys, and he is there, and he plans on participating and being part of the team and, doing what is expected of him, not only as, a player of his caliber, but also as a leader in that locker room. So what does it say for, about his actual personality and who he is, not only from your standpoint, but from the standpoint of the other guys in the locker room, for him to be here and be present and not make this a bigger thing than it should be, when so widely across the league, guys make it a thing and guys make it, a bigger piece of drama than it maybe needs to be. But kind of speak to, how his personality and his responsibility to coming for the team and being at mandatory minicamp.
Yeah, no, Tristan's a special guy. He's been everything that we'd hope for from the moment he walked in. He's a phenomenal person, phenomenal player, but even a better person, a great teammate. I know the locker room, the guys love him, and I think he wanted to be here, for them and not to disappoint them. But I think he also looks at it as it'll work itself out, the contract, and he's gonna show up, be here, and he just just goes to the type of guy he is and person he is, and not too dissimilar from Winfield last year. Winfield came here last year for camp, was here for training camp, and then you didn't hear really much on his end. He just went out and did what he did, and got rewarded with the biggest contract in the history of defensive backs because he earned it. And Tristan's similar boat, just similar type of guy. He's gonna want to be here for his teammates and go about. He goes about his business and does the right thing, and is a great teammate and great guy.
Completely non-biased question for you. Do you think Tristan Wirfs and Antoine Winfield Jr. are the best back-to-back draft picks in NFL history?
You can definitely make an argument about it. I mean, especially given the time that we had that draft, and we had, let's bring in Brady and Gronk and being really all in, and that was the year. It's such a special year, and those two played such a big part in us winning a Super Bowl from their rookie years. So just given what they contributed right away to that team, I think you could definitely make an argument.
You touched a little bit on Brady there, Mike, and that kind of leads to a question I wanted to ask you. Year in and year out, offseason to offseason, seemingly you guys come up with new ways. Maybe they're not new, but they're new to us, it seems like. Creative ways, and you guys consistently keep the guys you want to keep. It seems like you can't, but somehow you guys pull it off. I know that's a major part of what you do and what you bring to the table. Speak to kind of like where that has sort of come from. Is that from, what you've learned from the league coming up? Because so often you see teams that, focus on the now and don't worry about tomorrow. Whereas you guys have been able to focus on now and worry about tomorrow and kind of keep it really balanced, not have to kick the can down the road like some teams, the Saints do. And you guys have been able to kind of keep it balanced in a way that continues to keep us competitive. And then you got that year where you're supposed to eat the credit card payment, right? You're supposed to not win. You're supposed to have no quarterback after Tom Brady leaves. And yet here we are competing. We win the division while that's happening. And apparently all signs pointing we found the next quarterback for this team on top of that all. Speak to how, that all came from and how you guys are able to kind of keep that balance and focus and seemingly pull rabbits out of hats every single offseason, like you just did with Antoine Winfield, bringing back Mike, keeping all these guys intact, Levante, the list goes on and on. I could do this with you all day, obviously, but speak to how that you guys have been able to find that balance. And has that been something that you learned when you were really young in the league, or has it been something where you and the team and Jason and all these guys in Spy Tech have been able to put your brains together and create this mastermind template that so many other teams have not been able to figure out? There's a few of them, but you guys seem to be at the front line just making things happen every single year.
So good question. I think, first, I think it starts with our ownership group and the Glazer family and giving us the resources, especially coming to 2020, 21, 22, where we were all in, wanted to bring everybody back, go for it again. And you can't really do what we did without the resources to do it. And they were all about bringing the team back and doing everything they can. And really, they're like that every year, but in that they recognized that window was small with Brady, and we, I think, made the most of it. And now we're obviously took last year to take our wounds a little bit. And first, taking a step back, I actually was an intern with Jackie Davidson at the Jets, so I learned my first learning experience was under her, and we had the opportunity to bring her here a few years ago. I said to Jason, I was like, me and Jackie, I learned how to think. I learned how to do all this from her. So we think alike, we look at it like we love a challenge, like we had 2020, 21, and even now, to try and find some creative ways to do things and keep an eye in the future. We're always keeping an eye 2-3 years out, but make it work for this year. So me and her enjoyed really the last few years trying to find some different ways to do things, some loopholes, some things we hadn't done in years before that. And then I would say a big part of that actually goes to the scouting and personnel staff, because if you look at a lot of the success we had last year, we knew we were going to have to go with a little bit of a younger team. We were going to have to go with a quarterback that we brought in. And those guys and girls keep hitting home run after home run in the draft and free agency. And so a lot of credit to Spytech and Mike Beal, Rob McCartney, and Jason and the whole personnel department, because I think 5 or 6 undrafted free agents made the team last year. So and few of them really contributed and played good, big minutes for us. And I think a lot of the making the playoffs while taking the licks and wounds comes from the talent that we brought in. And obviously Baker was a home run signing for us, but it's credit to the personnel department and then the coaches for coaching them. But the personnel department here has been phenomenal. And that's really what's allowed us to continue to be successful while taking some of our licks. And now we're really on the way out of it. So that's really been a big part of our success last year and hopefully this year.
Mm-hmm. So before I get to like this current roster and this upcoming season, I got to ask, so the Tom Brady signing, when this all happened, how far in advance did you know it was going to be a thing? How long was the negotiation with him? And like, was this just like a crazy experience? This is Tom Brady. We're about to get Tom Brady on this franchise and win a Super Bowl.
The whole experience was really surreal. And if you remember, right in the middle of it is when things started really getting bad with the pandemic. And I remember everyone, except for a few of us, got sent home from the building here. So we also had a new CBA in place too. So we had the new CBA trying to figure out those rules, a pandemic going, oh, okay, these are going to add a lot more rules to it. And then a huge free agency that we're trying to balance. Once the negotiating period came and we make our pitch to the agent and start talking numbers, it moved relatively quickly. He did an enormous amount of homework, it seems like, beforehand. So he knew what teams he was looking for and what he was looking, really what was important to him. So during that period, it moved pretty quick, but it did have challenges. I think I told the story before, but he was in New York and we couldn't fly him in. So I actually had my brother-in-law go to his apartment to have sign the contract because I wanted that thing signed. So the minute we were about to sign, I sent my brother-in-law in New York City to his apartment to do it because we weren't allowed to bring him in at that point. And I wasn't waiting for FedEx and or him to go to Kinko's and print it out. So there's just a lot of the whole experience was surreal, and really the whole year was surreal.
Would have been nice.
I don't know who your brother-in-law is, but
I was gonna say, would have been nice.
Your brother-in-law's got
machines.
Go
Go ahead,
You're
Jason.
saying
I was gonna say that for your brother-in-law, that's probably a story he's gonna tell for the rest of his life.
he's the one who took the picture of him signing.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that's
It-
unbelievable.
I remember I called him. He goes, "Are you serious about this?" I go, "Yes, I'm dead serious. I need you to get into a cab, Uber, walk there. I don't care. You need to go sign Tom Brady."
I just wanted to add one more thing about that Brady era. So obviously we won the Super Bowl. That was great. And then it happens to be that we're the first team in the Super Bowl era to bring back all 22 starters from the Super Bowl winning season. And that's just got to be such an accomplishment as well.
That was, yeah, we're definitely very proud of that. I remember being at the parade, at the end of the parade, and Levante was up there, and then Sue was up there, and BA kept taking the mic, going, "You're not going."
Yeah.
Explicit, "You're not going anywhere." And I remember making eye contact with Jackie and Jason across, going, "It's gonna be challenging. Yeah, we gotta work. We got work cut out."
He's writing
And,
checks for you guys.
and the thing is, like, you realize, like, the Super Bowl goes so late, and it turned around. Free agency was right there, and so it was. We went right from one into another. Probably helped. We had a little bit of momentum to just keep on going, but really, you look back, a lot of the guys, they wanted to be here. Players wanted to be here, and they still do. And it's what's nice about it. They wanted to be around. They wanted to have BA as the coach. They wanted to be around Brady and guys like Levante and all the great players that we've had, and especially on that team, Jensen and Marpet and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Like, so it made it a lot easier. We're on the phone with an agent or guys becoming a free agent, and he wants to play in Tampa, and that makes it a lot easier to bring everyone back when the player wants to come back so bad.
So there's, again, I think we're going to kind of focus now a little bit more on this roster that we have this year. You spoke a lot about those undrafted free agents with Izien and guys like that came in. Izien basically kind of won us a game at the very top of the season in Minnesota. When you guys look at this year's roster, are there a handful of guys that you guys really are like, man, we are so glad we had these dudes available for us after the draft? And then again, some of the guys that you guys ended up stealing in the draft because you guys had a phenomenal draft. Do you guys see a lot of these guys making impact, year one, which is, again, not very common across the league, but the Bucs have done this consistently where they've had undrafted free agents and you guys have had draft picks almost in the first 4 rounds in the last few years come in and have impact in the season that they're drafted, which is, again, very, very rare. Which which of those guys this year are you guys really, really excited about seeing?
So far, the draft class has been great so far. We're really excited. I mean, it's hard. I know it's a pretty obvious one, but we were so excited. We were on the edge of our seat in the first round, hoping Barton got to us, and we kind of mocked it out and didn't. If all those quarterbacks don't go and push him down, I don't know if he gets to us. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I know it's an obvious one. It's the first round, but we were thrilled when he actually got to us. And I don't know if you could have traded anything to Jason to not take him, because for a guy like that, to get a guy like that, and especially with Jensen obviously retiring, and just such a big piece for us to get going forward. But really, the rest of the draft class we're excited about. I'll be really excited when I see them in training camp to put on pads and see really what we got. But right now, the draft class and even some of the other drafted guys, we're excited about. And then honestly, going back to free agency, to add a guy like Whitehead to me is because during free agency, we got on the phone with them. We said we messed up, and we should have. At the time, it was hard to bring everyone. It was hard to keep everyone that year. We had Mike Edwards, who kind of filled in that role, but we did not want to lose Whitehead. And the second we lost him, we all regretted it. And we were not shy about when free agency came, wanting him back. And fortunately, he wanted to come back. So that was, we're really excited to have him back.
Yeah, I mean, I have to feel like that was, except for our own guys, probably a main priority to get him next to Antoine in the secondary, because he's just such a good player. And the contract is very reasonable. I love the contract. I just want to ask one more thing. I just want to go back just a little bit more on Brady, not Brady, but what was it like? Obviously, we could get that team-friendly deal with Mayfield last year. What was it like in the locker room if you were down there at all? Going from Brady to Mayfield in the locker room, like what are the different mannerisms? How do they act with the guys? Was Brady more to himself? Is Mayfield all over with all the guys hanging out? Like how does that work?
Like it's really in game day, they're kind of similar, and they command They command the locker room. They command the huddle. Guys want to play for them, don't want to disappoint them, excited to be around them. Baker's probably a little bit more of like a goofball and a little bit joking and keeps things light. And a lot of times at the right times when you need that too. But Brady just commands that respect too, and guys want to play for both of them. And I think that's why, well, Brady, has had all the success he had, but Baker, guys want to be around Baker. And I can't tell you how many players wanted to come here or stay here, and were excited when Baker came here last year. So I see some similarities in them in terms of just how the other players feel about them and want to be around them and want to play with them and for them and not disappoint them. So from that standpoint, I think they kind of are a little bit similar from in terms of leadership. Now they both have a little bit different style. I think, like I said, Baker's definitely a little bit more loose and funny, but Tom's pretty funny too. You get him at the right time.
No.
Yeah.
Got to catch him in that mood.
Mike, how surprised were you guys? Obviously, you talked to these free agents before you sign them, and you kind of get a good lay of the land in terms of their personalities. But how surprised were you guys to see someone like Baker come in and, that's a massive shadow with Tom Brady being the guy right before you.
Yes.
But how surprised were you guys to see him come in there and just make it his locker room, make it his team, and just kind of not even force the issue, just naturally, organically come out of that shadow and make it about, make it Baker's team, which is, again, like you ask any other quarterback across the league, you want to come and follow up the Tom Brady act, they're probably going to say no because it's like a lost situation. And
no doubt.
How surprised were you guys to see that kind of play out the way it was? Because even as fans of Baker, JC and I, we were even still a little bit surprised. Like, dude, it's his team, like, very quickly. How surprised were you guys about that?
It's interesting. When we did sign him, we got a few calls from people that we got Sean McVay, Raheem Morris, who were with him for a short period of time with the Rams. And they're like, this guy is special. This guy's going to come in there and the guys are going to love him. They're going to love playing for him. He's competitive. So we kind of had that feel like once we signed him, and Todd actually had a connection with him dating back from when he was in the draft and had a lot of visits.
Mm-hmm.
So Todd really, really wanted him and liked him, when he came out a lot and when the Jets almost, obviously went number one, just didn't have a chance, but Todd really liked him. So we had a lot of guys that kind of had some familiarity with him, but it was amazing how many calls we got. Like, this guy's special. This guy's going to be, they're like, he's gotten a little bit of a bad rap lately. We don't know why. And the Rams, like, we love him. If they didn't have Stafford, they may have went after and kept the guy like that. And so it was interesting to see how many people reached out once we signed him, and they were right. He came in and he competed with Trask, and made it. It was a competition, and it was pretty close last year too. They both played really well in camp. And then once Baker had the starting job, he was great last year.
So going to Baker's first year with Dave Canales, how big of an adjustment do you think it's going to be going to Liam Cohen? And honestly, how do you feel right now about Liam Cohen taking over this offense?
I think the good part is there's a lot of similarities from what I'm told from the offense. Also, Baker having been in a similar offense when he was with the Rams and working so closely with Liam, I think that was a natural fit. And I think they came in kind of hitting the ground running. And I know Baker, we didn't hire Liam specifically because of Baker, but it didn't hurt that Liam's background and they knew each other, were close, and he had played in the offense and liked the offense. So I think that allowed them to hit the ground running. And I think the offseason's been great. We've had really good attendance at the offseason program. We usually have pretty good attendance because we're in Tampa. Guys want to stay here. But Baker's been here and guys want to be around Baker and learn the offense. So we feel good with what we've done in the offseason, and we're probably, ahead of where we were learning a new offense last year. As Baker, it's not a new offense to him. So I think we're on the right path there.
Speaking of Baker again, did he happen to come up to you and Jason and just be like, hey, my guy Sterling Shepard's out there, big time duo in college? Was that a Baker idea, or was that you guys just kind of seeing a fit for depth or whatever he needs to be for the team?
So we were having a workout, and Rob and Spytech, Shane Scannell, and Mike Beal, they put together a list, and we were bringing him in anyway. And then Baker kind of got wind. Oh, I heard he's coming in, and then I'm not going to lie. Once he did come in, Baker wanted him. So that part, but he was our guy, the guy that we were going to sign coming out of the workout anyway. So it all worked out. If he didn't, Baker may have had been outside Jason's door waiting to talk to him. But fortunately, it kind of went smooth, and he was the best guy in the workout and the guy that Baker also wanted as well. But no, he didn't come being like, sign this guy. You have to sign him once we bring him in, and he kind of got wind of that. Then he gave kind of his opinion.
Mike,
Of course, you want to listen to it.
Yeah, you got to listen to Baker. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you want to know what the quarterback played with, and
Yeah.
you know, it was silly. Jason's silly not to like hear who the quarterback likes, his relationship with. It makes too much sense.
Yeah. Kind of zoomed out a little bit. How does the order of operations work with you guys in terms of like, we identify X player, we want him. Do they then just throw it to you and say, how can we make this work? What are the numbers? Or is it a collective team effort where everyone's like, these guys are available, you know, we like these guys seem like they can be somebody that we can afford? How does all that play out? Because you guys have so many big brains. You, Spytech, like Jackie, Jason, obviously, and I know he's very much one of those guys that lets you guys do your thing. How does all that work in terms of how it goes from point A to point B to where we're having a Jordan Whitehead press conference announcing he's back?
We have a phenomenal staff, like you said, phenomenal, and it even goes, even goes beyond like Donovan Cotton, Shane Scannell, Tony Hardy, Byron Keeper, people that may not even know. Like, we have a really deep and really good staff, and we've been together a long time. I would say that we're probably, if not the longest, one of the longest tenured front offices in the league. Most of us have been together at least 10 years. Jason's been here 10 years. The majority of us have been here with him 10 years. Some of us, there's a group of us that actually were here before them.
You've been there 14 or 15 now.
Yeah, this is my 15th season. Rob McCarthy at 14. So the nice part is, like, we just work well together. We put together a plan together. No one really cares. Like, hey, like I called this agent and bring this guy in and for a workout, and we all kind of work together, and nobody cares who makes the call to the agent, there's not really like an ego. During free agency, we're all kind of like, a lot of times Jason will laugh because he'll walk by and a bunch of us will be in my office and just kind of talking through it and looking at what we're hearing about each guy and who spoke to what agent. And we all kind of work great together. And I think that's, first a tribute to Jason and, the staff. I think that he's put together and the respect that he commands from all of us. And then we all kind of just work together at this point pretty well. I love coming to work here, love working with them. Shocked that some of them aren't GMs. I'm shocked that John Spytech and Rob McCarthy, Mike Beal, Jackie, like, haven't gotten opportunities to be a GM. I think they should. And I think that's probably coming, but we've been fortunate to keep the same staff together.
No, keep it down. Keep it down.
Mike, is that at all an aspiration of yours to be a general manager, or are you happy in kind of like the cap guru role? How do you feel about that?
It's one of those things that it's not a must for me. I love the role I'm in. I love Jason working here. Even when because I did interview for Carolina, I couldn't really envision myself leaving. And my wife definitely couldn't envision us leaving. Love the Glazer family. And so it would take a lot probably for me to leave. And it's not something I have to have or need. And some of the problems I watched Jason deal with, I'm not jealous that he has to deal with some of those conversations. Sometimes it's better to be hey, yeah, you should do this, and give my advice and not have to have those difficult conversations that I see deal with on a day-to-day basis. So it's one of those things that, like, if it happened eventually, great. If not, I'd be thrilled being here for the next 10, 15 years and winning more Super Bowls and working under Jason and with all the people here. So it's not something that's a must for me.
I think we all can say we would be thrilled with that as well.
Appreciate it.
Mike, has there been a moment in the NFL? Obviously, the Tom Brady moment's kind of a big one, so I can't let you say that. But have you had a kind of a crowning moment, in your role, or even just in the role as a staff itself? It doesn't even have to be with the Bucs even necessarily, but have you had that crowning moment of like, man, this was one of the coolest and one of my biggest accomplishments. I can't believe he signed this contract, or anything like that that's happened over the years for you?
I would say bringing back we touched upon it, but bringing back all the 22 stars, being the first team to do that was awesome. Coming off of a Super Bowl and doing that. I would say, though, a lot of times what's interesting, and I think the personnel guys would give you a similar answer. It's like bringing guys in like Shaq Barrett, that the guys identify them. We ended up doing the deal, And so, combined effort with it, they were right on the talent, and finding guys like that who went on to be amazing Buccaneers, Ryan Jensen, um, some of those deals in free agency, you look back and you're like, that was awesome. Like that was a
I mean,
fun thing to be a part of.
And you
Shaq
change
Barrett
that
was what
person's life.
1 year, yeah, 1 year, 4 million for Shaq and then you had Baker 1 year with 4 mil with options and
But
these
even
guys.
Jensen, like a big deal, but a lot of times you do those big deals, they never work out. And like it's
Mhm.
just do them and knowing that they're not going to work out, but hitting on the right guy. And the credit to the personnel staff, just the and watching. I mean, how often does a player like Ryan Jensen play out the deal and at the end of it make a Pro Bowl and get another deal? Like it's so rare that that happens. So even some of the bigger ones, not necessarily the small ones, like when they work out, like when Mike Evans plays out his whole contract and like Vontae Davis is on his fourth contract, I think those are really the things that like are because the worst thing you can really do is cut a player. You'd rather lose a player in free agency, get a comp pick back if you lose them, but like cutting a player and being wrong on the deal, like everyone's always like, well, if they're wrong, they'll cut them year three. That's the worst thing you can do, though. You'd rather you want them to play it out, and then if you do lose them free agency, at least you get a comp pick, you're getting something back. So having a bunch of guys play out their deals too, that's really when we know we're doing a decent job when they and we want to resign them also. And some of them gotten raises, which is you're hitting on the right guy from personnel standpoint too.
That's what's so surprising about Jason's time here is he came from the Bill, the Bill Belichick, Patriots way, which was get rid of a guy 1 year earlier as opposed to 1 year late. So even if they kind of play it out, we want to just get something in return. Whereas he's been, let's keep the guys that we know are our dudes and let's just ride them out. Levante David type guys, like you could have at any moment just been like, let's just let him go, whatever. He's aging, but he's not at the same time. And so you guys, and then the other thing too, is really refreshing with Jason is that if he makes a mistake or you guys all make a mistake, you guys are quick to just pull that Band-Aid and not waste time on it. It's like, let's not hang on to these, defensive linemen that didn't work out in free agency as opposed to, just let him go, figure it out and kind of start all over again, which is really, really cool. So I don't know, what your history was before you got to the Bucs, but obviously you were here before Jason too. So I'm sure it's a different style as well.
So, well, I think you hit it on the nose with Jason. Some of the Jason, he's never afraid to admit a mistake, which is rare. People say they will do that, but he does it. And I've been in the room with him and I've heard him say to the owners, like, I made a mistake. And I think the owners appreciate the fact that he's admitting to it and that he doesn't want to make another mistake on top of one. And then I will tell you a lot of the reason I think we're able to bring some of these guys back too is a large part on Jason. I have never been around somebody who has a better way of communicating and relating to the players. So the players may not always want to know what Jason's saying, but you know where you stand. You know he is incapable of lying, and you guys know him. He's the worst liar in the world. It's written on his he can't do it. Can't do it. So he tells the guys the truth. They know where they stand. Even like take last year with Mike, we weren't able to get a deal done with Mike. And as much as that conversation hurt Jason to talk to Mike, that relationship is probably one of the reasons that Mike did decide to come back because, he always knows where he stands with Jason and Jason's honest with him. And same thing with Winfield and Wirfs now. And he has a way of relating to the players and just being upfront with them. And I think that goes a long way with them because a lot of times, they get lied to a lot of times or the message goes through three different, through me and an agent and somebody else. And it's not, and he knows how to, he goes to them, he has a conversation, he tells them exactly where they stand. And I think at the end of the day, they appreciate that. And that's a lot of the reason I think guys, even though we didn't do a deal with Mike still wanted to come back, and I think Jason has a big part in that, or a huge part.
How's your sleep after all that? How's your sleep after all that?
My sleep?
Yeah, after the Mike. I know you didn't sleep very well during the season with the
No,
Mike.
I'm ready. I'm not gonna lie. I'm ready for Thursday, the off-season program to be over. Take a little bit of a break. It's been a busy off-season. Been fun. The three little boys at home doesn't really help the sleep. Sometimes I come here to relax. But other than that, but it's been fun. It's been a really fun off season. So I can't.
So I have a question. I have a question for you. A lot of people argue about this on NFL Twitter and whatnot. Everyone has their different opinions. So as the cap guy, When you're negotiating a deal with a free agent coming into Tampa, obviously we all know, we all live here. We know how great it is to live here. The weather's amazing. It's great to raise a family here. There's so many benefits going on the water, jet skiing, whatever you want to do as a player. But how much does the tax benefits help with negotiating? Some people say none at all, but like in reality is you're saving yourself money. Do you find that it helps you with certain negotiations when you're trying to get a guy?
I'm going to tell you about the no state taxes over and over again until I
Exactly.
annoy
What
the
I'm
hell
saying.
out of you about it.
Yeah.
Because it is real. It's real. And you look at it for a player, we send it. We send a sheet that will show you approximately what your take-home pay is in every NFL city and team, because it's real. Like one team may be offering you 11 or 12, and we're offering you 10, but your take-home pay is going to be more here. And that's not even talking about the cost of living, which
Mhm.
compared to like a California, but that's real. And we are going to tell you over and over again until we annoy you about it. And because and what's interesting is you get a guy like a Shaq Barrett and Jensen when they come from another place and then they come here, they realize this. Some of the rookies don't really realize it because they've spent their whole career here. They go to resign. It's not that big of a deal. When you get guys who come in from other places, when we traded for JPP, I remember he got $1 million. It was like 1-1 raise just off the trade alone. We kept this contract, but
That's
just
unbelievable.
us compared to Jersey, it was $1 million raise just
That's
in the trade alone.
crazy. That is crazy. So Shaq,
I
Shaquille
had
O'Neal.
to. I know Sammy knows this. I had to clarify that. I got in a Twitter argument with. We don't need to name names, but I was like, "You're crazy if you don't think that is a major factor in signing in Tampa."
And the more you make, I think that the weather helps too. In terms of just training all year round, you can get. It's amazing how many people move here and keep their places here. Even players, a lot of old coaches have their places here still, and they'll go on, but keep it in Tampa because it's a great place to live, great place for the family, and it's can't really beat the weather
It's great for your taxes, man.
except for the summer.
It's great for that. I mean, but the contracts they're signing, they're saving millions of dollars. It's not like me or regular athletes, 50,000, 100 grand. We're saving millions of dollars, so it's a big deal.
We increased now. You get into $20 million, $30 million a year contracts. It's significant. Yeah. It's a big difference.
Mike, you've worked with quite a few personalities in your time, and I feel like the majority of the guys in the NFL are kind of the same dudes. Jason's a little bit different, obviously. He's more of a football guy. You like grab a beer, have some wings, blue cheese, obviously, and you're watching, the game with him. I don't know how familiar you were with BA before BA came to town. Did you have one of those okay, welcome to the BA world moment with him at all? Or were you kind of already, adept to who he was beforehand?
He's the best. So I actually picked him up, and I was picking up all the coaches that we interviewed that year. So I actually picked them up to bring him here to meet with Jason and the Glazers. And everybody brings these books and these briefcases and binders to show you. And I walked in and I didn't know him. I said, "Hey, coach, you got anything? You got anything?" And it was just by himself. He goes, "Nope, don't need it. All up here." And you know what? I sat in the interview. It was all up here. Yeah. It was amazing. It was incredible. And he's just an unbelievable guy, and just knows what's important, what's not, when to like take things seriously, when to laugh about it. He's just awesome to be around. I saw him and his wife last week. It was awesome. And I love BA, I love his wife, Chris, his family. It was such a cool experience being around a guy like that, and just so much football knowledge, but it's awesome how much he cares about like everybody in the organization. And I remember even the year after I think the year we won the Super Bowl, me and my wife happened to go away to where he lives during the off season, and they were staying, and he found out I was there.
The lake house.
Yeah, and he's pissed at me. He's texting me, pissed at me. He goes, "Well, why?" I didn't want to bother him. I knew his family in town. He goes, "It's our anniversary. We're having a big party." And so me and my wife showed up. It was him, all of his family, and me and my wife. And he was just so mad that I didn't
That's awesome.
come. I was gonna be there. He wanted to come hang out with us. And he's just a fun guy and a great guy to be around. And special guy. He should be a Hall of Famer.
Did he ever give you problems in the hall?
Definitely will be.
You what?
Did he ever give you problems passing by in the hall? Because you're doing all the stuff that he's signing these checks for. That he's like, here you go. You ever give you hard times in the hall?
He was great. What's interesting too is even when the guys we lost, all right, don't worry about it. We'll make it work. Never got like
Down.
crazy and never understood the business, and he had been in it so long, he understood it. But always we'll figure it out, and and just awesome to be around.
So at this point now, is he basically full time at the lake house, or is he still popping in as a special advisor?
He pops in, and then I know Jason will talk to him, come around the draft and free agency, and send him, he'll watch, just to watch tape. I think he watches our games, and he'll come to a few games a year. And everyone, it's so funny to watch everyone when he does come in the building, because everyone's just so happy to see him, because he's just so great when he's here. So, but he'll pop in here or there. He lives a good life,
It's
but he's
funny,
earned it. He's earned it.
he hasn't been a Buck for very, very long, but it feels like he's been here since the Derek Book years. It feels like it's crazy. He feels like Rondé Barber to the fans, and for people like us who've kind of gotten to know him a little bit too. You would never guess this guy was an NFL head coach who'd coached in multiple Super Bowls, had won a Super Bowl as a head coach, had played with all these guys and coached with all these dudes, and knows all these stories that he has. You would never guess, dude, that he was
He's got
that kind of guy.
stories are incredible.
Oh,
and it's interesting, like him and Rondé connection was just ironic and pretty amazing. And but yeah, he's just a special guy.
So what was it like to transition from, working with BA to then Todd taking over? What was like the difference in the personality, or how involved they are with you and Jason and Jackie and everyone? Is it more hands off with Todd, or is he still just as much involved as BA?
The interesting part is it's because he coached with BA for so long, and really BA let him run the show on defense. So it was like he was kind of in that like second head coach role anyway on the defensive side of the ball. It's pretty smooth, and I've been here for quite a lot of transitions from new head coaches. That was definitely the smoothest one, because it was a lot of the most of the coaches, I think the majority of that year, all stayed the same. Todd was already involved a lot because of just his role in the defense, so it was pretty smooth. And what people don't realize about Todd too is Todd's a funny guy. You see him on TV and you think, he doesn't smile, he doesn't talk much. Todd's funny. Todd loves to bust your chops, loves to. So that was a pretty smooth transition. Definitely the smoothest one since I've been here.
There's no like control on the air conditioning or anything like that.
No, not yet at least.
No toes on the line.
Not yet.
Well, Mike, thanks so much for.
I've been here since Raheem.
Yeah.
All right.
I've been here since
Mike.
Raheem. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say thank you so much for joining us today. I was gonna ask one more thing. I don't know if you ever scroll Twitter or go on Twitter after you make a big signing or something, but myself, I use this GIF a lot. I know a lot of people do. If you've seen The Hangover, when Alan's coming down the escalator, about to play blackjack and everything's going, is that kind of how you feel when you're doing these contracts, or do you just laugh when you've had to have seen that, right?
I've seen it. I enjoy the comments. I'm not gonna lie. I do look at the comments. Sometimes I don't. Especially free agency, we're so busy. It's like you hang up and you move on to one. Sometimes I won't look at them until I get home, like late at night, especially free agency. But I enjoy them. I'm not gonna lie.
We had Jason on the other podcast that I'm the host of, the Loose Cannons, and we coined the phrase Greenberg. So anytime you guys sign a guy and we just he's just gonna Greenberg him, it's fine. We're not even worried about just gonna Greenberg Wirfs. He'll be fine. He's not going anywhere. Like you become a verb.
I think you're onto something.
Oh, I definitely.
I like it.
And then when I do my next contract negotiation, I'm just going to defer with Jason. I'm going to defer to you too.
Yeah.
So you guys do it for me.
Yeah.
We actually did my first contract, me and Jason, at the bar at 717. We sat at the bar, me and him, and we fought back and forth there. So that was the first one we ever did, 2000, whenever he came in.
That's a football dude right there. See that? That's a football dude, man. That's awesome.
What we did. So.
Mike, I also noticed you can practice law in the state of New York. So, I go to Connecticut. I leave for Connecticut this Friday. If I happen to go to New York City and get in trouble, will you fly in and defend me?
I will be there. You may want to call someone else also who is equipped for that. If you need to know how much money you need to raise, a bond to get out and figure out the numbers there, I can help you probably there. But I'd call it the defense attorney.
So you can't help me out. You can't help me out in Jersey, though.
So I was barred in Jersey. I stopped. I did take the Jersey bar though. So I am barred in Jersey. So I can I can pay back into Jersey, but not in Jersey. When am I going to Jersey?
So no, I didn't know this about you. So now I have to ask one last question. Sorry, JC.
Yeah.
Law and Order. Is that all garbage? Is that all fugazi? Or you watch that and you're like, yeah, this is real life? Or Suits, maybe?
The interesting part with Law and Order is, especially like the trial stuff, a lot of the evidence rules and the hearsay and the rejections, a lot of that's pretty on point and accurate to the point where one of my in civil procedure, I think it was, or evidence, they actually showed a few clips from Law and Order from the trial part. So some of it is pretty on point from that standpoint, and a lot of the actual law aspects of it, like what is the criminal elements and stuff like that's pretty good. They're pretty on point.
So you're not a Suits guy, though.
I do like Suits.
Yeah. See, I could tell, man. I could tell. I knew you're a Suits guy.
I do like Suits.
You should have put on a suit for the show, man. Honestly,
I do like Suits. Yeah. Good show. Solid.
Great show.
Yeah.
All right, JC.
No, Mike, thanks for having us. I'm gonna write down right now and make sure you agree to be here for the next 15 years with the Bucs. So that's just we're good with that. Are we good on that? Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us. This was a fun interview. We would love to do it again. Let us know. We'll have you on whenever.
Awesome.
But you can follow us on the YouTube Loose Cannon Show. We're streaming on Spotify, Apple, iTunes as Fully Loaded, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers podcast. Sam, any last words, or Mike, any last words?
Appreciate you guys having me on. This was fun.
Yeah. Go
Thanks.
Bucs. And
Yeah,
if you ever need any help in the contract, negotiation, maybe
you guys are taking over, so
let me know,
I'm gonna tell Jason
Yeah.
to talk to you guys.
Nah, I don't know about the numbers part, but yeah, I'll let you do that.
All
Go
right,
Bucs.
man.
Appreciate it.
Go
Thanks,
Bucs.
guys.